Jack? I can't believe it. Is that really you? Sarah's voice, choked with emotion, cut through the bustling street in Vienna. Time seemed to freeze in that moment. On the corner of a busy street, a thin and neglected dog, with once white fur now dirty and matted, stood up on his hind legs, his tired eyes, still full of hope, fixed on Sarah. It was a scene that blended the miracle of reunion with the harsh reality of survival on the streets. Her heart raced unevenly, torn between the joy of finding him again and the pain of seeing her beloved companion in such a condition. But suddenly, Sarah's eyes widened when she realized that her Jack wasn't alone. This story will surprise you. Please subscribe to our channel now and tell us in the comments what you prefer. Do you like dogs or cats better? It was a mild autumn afternoon in Vienna when the life of young Sarah and her faithful companion, a little white dog named Jack, took an unexpected turn. Sarah, a 26-year-old woman, loved walking with Jack through the city's tree-lined parks. As they strolled through Stephansplatz Square, Sarah smiled, remembering the day she received Jack. It was her 20th birthday, and her grandfather Richard surprised her with a small package that was moving. When she opened the box, she was met with two bright eyes and a moist snout. It was love at first sight. Since then, Jack had become her confidant and best friend. The aroma of freshly ground coffee and apple strudel hung in the air, mingling with the distant sound of a violin playing a Mozart melody. Sarah took a deep breath, savoring the final moments in her beloved city before the big family trip to Greece, planned for the following week. Suddenly, Jack's heart, full of joy and energy, led him to chase a small kitten that ran past him. In the blink of an eye, the little white dog disappeared into the crowd, leaving Sarah in a state of despair. "Jack! Jack!" Sarah cried out, her voice trembling with fear. She felt panic rising in her chest as she ran through the streets of Vienna, desperately calling for Jack. Her heart was pounding so hard it felt like it might leap from her throat. She stopped everyone she encountered, showing them Jack's photo on her cell phone and asking if anyone had seen him. With shaking hands, she called her parents, explaining between sobs what had happened. Her mother, trying to calm her, promised to come help with the search immediately. While waiting, Sarah rushed to the nearest police station to report Jack's disappearance. Sarah found it strange that Jack had vanished so quickly, and she began to imagine that someone might have taken him. When she looked around, everyone seemed suspicious, but there was no way to know for certain. All she could do was continue searching. The following hours were a blur of frantic activity. Sarah and her parents divided up to cover different areas of the region. They visited local animal shelters, veterinarians, and even hospitals, left photos with those in charge, and even offered a reward for anyone who found him. As night fell, Sarah, exhausted and hoarse from calling for Jack, began posting flyers with his photo on poles and walls. Her hands were scratched and dirty, but she barely noticed the physical pain, consumed by the anguish of not knowing where her beloved dog was. Before returning home, Sarah made one last round through the park where she used to walk with Jack. With a borrowed flashlight, she searched every bush and dark corner, softly calling for him. The silence of the night was broken only by the sound of her muffled sobs. At home, unable to sleep, Sarah spent hours on the internet, posting in local lost pet groups and sending messages to all her contacts. She created a Facebook page dedicated to the search for Jack, hoping that the power of social media might help her find her furry friend. Meanwhile, Jack, disoriented and frightened, wandered through the streets of the ancient Austrian capital. The smell of sausages and pretzels in the air, which used to excite him, now terrified him. His small eyes desperately searched for Sarah in every passing face. With a racing heart and trembling paws, Jack had never felt so alone and lost. That same night, in a dark alley, Jack curled up under a cardboard box, shivering from cold and fear. The small dog, accustomed to the comfort and love of his home, now faced a vast and unknown world. Sarah felt her heart quicken. "Could it be possible?" she whispered. Sarah immediately pulled her car over, near the corner where the little dog was resting. The dog, as if sensing her gaze, raised his head. His tired eyes suddenly came to life. With a weak but determined bark, he launched himself toward Sarah's car. "Jack?" she whispered, hardly believing what she was seeing. The dog stopped in front of the vehicle, rising up on his hind legs in an attempt to show himself to his best friend, wagging his tail with an energy that seemed impossible for his weakened body. His eyes said it all. "I've finally found you." Sarah opened the car door with trembling hands, tears already streaming down her face. "Jack, my dear, is it really you?" she called softly. The dog hesitated for a moment, as if not believing this was real. A year on the streets had taught him to be cautious, but Sarah's familiar scent and loving voice were unmistakable. Carefully, Sarah approached. "It's all right, my love, it's me." Jack took one step forward, then another. Finally, with a small whimper, he approached Sarah. The reunion was a mixture of tears and contained emotions. Sarah noticed how thin and weakened Jack was. Her heart ached thinking about the hardships he must have faced on the streets. She wanted to hug him, take him home immediately, but something in Jack's posture made her hesitate. The dog looked at her with a mixture of joy and apprehension, as if he wanted to tell her something important. Sarah realized the situation was more complex than she had initially imagined. "What is it, Jack? What are you trying to tell me?" Sarah asked softly, crouching down to be at the dog's level. Sarah, noticing Jack's hesitation, understood that something deeper was at stake. With a heavy heart, she went to a market across the street and bought a package of dog biscuits, hoping to satisfy Jack's hunger and convince him to come home with her. When she returned, she opened the package, took some containers she had in her car, and served the food. "Here you go, my dear," she said softly, offering a handful of biscuits to Jack. The dog, visibly starving, began to devour the food with an urgency that broke Sarah's heart. While Jack was eating, Sarah noticed some movement and shadows approaching. Gradually, other stray dogs began to emerge from nearby alleys and sidewalks. There were 5, maybe 6, all as thin and neglected as Jack. With caution, the dogs approached, attracted by the smell of food. Their eyes, a mixture of hunger and fear, fixed on Sarah and the biscuits. It was then that she understood Jack's dilemma. "Oh my goodness," whispered Sarah, tears welling in her eyes. "Jack, you wanted me to help all of them, didn't you?" As if he understood perfectly, Jack raised his eyes to Sarah, his gaze a mixture of pleading and hope. He took a step toward the other dogs, as if introducing them to Sarah. Moved by a wave of compassion, Sarah took more containers and spread out more biscuits for the others. The dogs, initially hesitant, soon approached and began to eat eagerly. It was a scene both touching and disturbing. These animals ate as if each meal could be their last. Sarah observed, with a broken heart, the protruding ribs and tangled fur of the dogs. Each of them had a story, a journey of survival on the streets of Vienna. And Jack, her faithful friend, had become part of that group, sharing their struggles and hardships. Jack, between bites, would look up at Sarah. His eyes expressed a mixture of gratitude and anxiety, as if fearing that this moment of kindness might be fleeting, that he might be left behind again. Sarah crouched down, gently stroking Jack's head. "It's all right, my love," she murmured, her voice choked with emotion. "I understand now. I won't leave you all." In that moment, surrounded by hungry stray dogs and her beloved Jack, Sarah felt a profound connection. It wasn't just about finding her lost dog. It was about recognizing the suffering of these beings and doing something about it. Cars continued to honk impatiently behind her, but Sarah barely heard them. Her mind was already working, thinking about how she could help not just Jack, but all those needy dogs. "We'll figure this out together, Jack," she said, with determination replacing the tears in her eyes. "I promise I won't abandon any of you." Jack, as if understanding every word, pressed his muzzle against Sarah's hand. It was more than a gesture of affection. It was a silent agreement, a mutual promise that, from that moment on, things would be different. Sarah looked into the hopeful eyes of the dogs around her, and in that moment made a decision that would change not only her life, but the lives of all those abandoned creatures. With her heart overflowing with love and determination, she knew she couldn't simply take Jack home and leave the others behind. "Come on, all of you," said Sarah, her voice trembling but resolute. "Let's go home." Carefully, she opened the back door of her car. Jack, understanding the gesture, was the first to enter, as if guiding his friends toward a new life. The other dogs hesitated for a moment. Sarah placed a small container of food on the car floor and made gestures for them to come in. Jack barked at the other dogs as if ordering them to get into the car. Gradually, the others followed Jack's example, and one by one they entered the car and settled in. The drive to Sarah's house never seemed so long. She drove slowly, glancing in the rearview mirror at her new companions. Jack sat in the front seat, as if wanting to ensure that Sarah wouldn't change her mind. When they arrived home, Sarah was met with surprised looks from her parents, Nancy and Robert. "Sarah, what is this?" asked Nancy, mouth agape. "Mom, Dad, I found Jack," explained Sarah, the words rushing out. "But he wasn't alone. These dogs need help, and I couldn't leave them on the street." Robert, a man of few words, observed the scene for a moment before saying, "Well, looks like we've got work to do." In the weeks that followed, the Miller household was transformed. The backyard was adapted to accommodate the new residents. Sarah, with her parents' help, took all the dogs to the veterinarian, ensuring they received the necessary care. Jack, now back in his home, assumed the role of leader of the group. He seemed to understand his responsibility, helping the other dogs adapt to their new life. Sarah spent hours every day caring for the dogs, bathing them, feeding them, and above all, offering the love they so desperately needed. Each dog had its own personality and story, and Sarah dedicated herself to getting to know each one of them. There was Lucy, a caramel-colored mutt who loved to lie in the sun, Max, a mixed German shepherd who became the guardian of the house, and Bella, a dog of no specific breed who wouldn't leave Jack's side. As the days passed, the transformation was visible. Their once matted fur now shone, their thin bodies gained weight, and their sad eyes filled with life. One evening, as Sarah watched the dogs playing in the backyard, her father joined her. "You know, Sarah," said Robert, placing his hand on his daughter's shoulder, "when you brought these dogs home, I confess I was worried, but now I see that you did the right thing. I'm proud of you." Sarah smiled, tears of happiness in her eyes. "Thank you, Dad. I just did what my heart told me to do." In that moment, Jack approached, followed by the other dogs. He placed his head in Sarah's lap, looking up at her with eyes full of gratitude. "You are my family now," whispered Sarah, petting each of the dogs, "and I promise I will always take care of you." The sun was setting on the Vienna horizon, casting a golden glow over the backyard. The scene was one of pure harmony, a young woman surrounded by her faithful companions, all rescued from the streets for a life of love and security. The journey that had begun with the painful loss of Jack had transformed into something much greater. Sarah had not only recovered her lost friend, but had also found a greater purpose: to offer a home and unconditional love to those who needed it most. And so, in that backyard in Vienna, a new family was formed, united not by blood, but by love and compassion. A family that proved that sometimes the strongest bonds are those we choose to create. And what about you? If you found your lost pet, would you have the courage to bring home not just one but several stray animals? Tell us in the comment section below. And if you enjoy animal stories like this one, click the like button and subscribe to our channel. 90% of our viewers don't subscribe, and we need your support to continue bringing you these incredible stories. I'll give you a moment to like and subscribe. Now, picture a soaking wet and exhausted wolf fighting for its life in a tank of cold water, its howls echoing in desperation. Around it, construction workers are torn between fear and the courage to approach, but they decide to save this majestic creature. One of them, moved by compassion, risks everything to pull the wolf to safety, beginning an unlikely friendship. Want to experience every moment of this moving story? Click now on the video appearing on your screen and witness this incredible journey of survival and hope. Remarkable stories are always just one click away. I'll see you in the next video.